Almost 3000 days ago, which is about 8 years, I started drawing anime. No talent, no plan, just a lot of curiosity and desire. Since then, I've made every mistake you can imagine, but I've also learned lessons that took me from an absolute beginner to creating art I'm actually proud of. Today, I'm gonna share with you the biggest lessons I learned that changed everything for me and for my art. Alright, so if there's one thing that would have saved me years of frustration, it's this. Get guidance from someone who's already ahead of you. I used to think I could figure it all out by myself. I just watch artists on YouTube and try to recreate what they were doing, jumping from drawing one day to inking the next to coloring for the millionth time. And sure, I was learning, but I was also spinning in circles. No real direction. No one to tell me, hey, you're focusing on the wrong stuff, fix this first. The real shift happened when I started learning from people who were already where I wanted to be. Sometimes it was just following one artist seriously, studying their work, not just drawing but trying to understand why this works the way it works, listening to their advice. Other times it was investing in an online course, one that actually broke things down step by step instead of throwing 100 tips at me. The good thing about art is that you don't need some magical real-life mentor. In fact, most of my biggest breakthroughs came from online mentors, artists I've never even met, but who taught me through their videos, their courses, their breakdowns. We already have all that we need, you just have to search for it. So here's what you can do. Find someone whose art you love, like really love, and study everything they teach. Then you can take a course if you can. Seriously, a good course can shortcut years of wandering. Here's my favorite. And when you find advice that you like, actually apply it. Don't just nod and move on, do the work. If I could go back and tell my younger self one thing, it would be, stop trying to figure it all out alone. Find someone better than you. Listen to what they have to say, apply what they teach, and repeat. Because yeah, self-taught sounds cool, but when you have guidance, that's what actually gets you there faster. You know what's funny? When I first started drawing, all I wanted to do was the cool stuff. Like, forget about these boring circles and stick figures, I wanted to draw full body anime characters. Big dynamic poses, crazy hair, epic fight scenes. And every time it didn't look right, I get frustrated thinking, why does this still look weird? Turns out the problem wasn't that I needed to learn more fancy techniques, the problem was I was building a skyscraper on a cracked foundation. The fundamentals matter. I know, it's boring, it's not what blows up on Instagram, but it's the difference between drawings that look right and drawings that always feel a little off. The crazy thing is that I only recently started building my foundation. Yeah, for almost 6 years I was drawing without foundation. Now you may say, but your drawings still look great. Yeah, they maybe look decent, but it was so hard for me to draw them and I didn't know why. Can you imagine? I love drawing, but it was so hard for me to do it because I tried to draw blindly, not knowing what I was doing. And guess what? Once I started learning fundamentals, I'm still learning it by the way, everything else got easier. Think of it like this. Every cool anime drawing you love, every character, every insane action pose, it's all just fundamentals, stacked and stylized. And trust me, once you have the fundamentals down, that's when the really fun stuff begins. You wanna know one of the biggest mistakes I made early on? I treated every single drawing like it had to be a masterpiece. I'd spend hours on a sketch trying to make it perfect, fixing the same eye 10 times, redrawing the hand until it didn't even look human anymore. And when it still didn't turn out the way I imagined, I'd tell myself like, maybe I'm just not talented enough. Here's what I wish someone had told me back then. Forget about making masterpieces. At first, just make a lot of drawings. Because when you're new to something, in this case anime drawing, your biggest enemy isn't lack of talent, it's lack of knowledge. You have to train your hand, your eye, your brain. You need reps, not perfection. Think about it like this. No one expects a beginner boxer to land the perfect punch in their first match. They expect them to swing a lot, miss a lot, and learn from it. Drawing's the same. I swear, when I stopped obsessing over perfect lines and sketches and just focused on creating volume, my art dropped way faster than when I was stressing over every tiny detail. So yeah, if you're early in your journey, or even if you hit a plateau, quantity is your best friend. Messy drawings, bad drawings, weird faces, get them out of your system. Every bad drawing you finish is a step closer to the good ones you're dreaming about. There's this weird idea a lot of us start with, I definitely had it too, good artists can make masterpieces with anything. And sure, skill matters way more than your tools, but having good tools makes a difference, a huge difference. I remember using some really cheap pencil and printer paper when I first started. It just made everything harder than it needed to be. The paper would tear when I tried to erase, the pencil would smudge weirdly, nothing felt smooth. It made me doubt myself. But the first time I bought a decent set of pencils and a real thick smooth paper, drawing started to feel different. It didn't magically make me a master overnight, but it made practicing easier, more enjoyable. It made me want to draw more, and that matters. So here's the truth. Better tools don't make you better by themselves, but they remove a lot of stupid obstacles that slow you down. When you use tools that feel good, that respond the way you expect, it's one less thing fighting against you while you're learning. If you treat your art like it matters, you'll start to believe you matter too. So yeah, treat yourself to the better pencils, get a nicer sketchbook, take that course you've been putting off. You're worth investing in. Your dreams are worth investing in. Also, if you're wondering what art tools I'm using, make sure to watch this video right here. If you feel comfortable with what you're drawing all the time, you're probably not growing. And I get it, comfort feels good. Drawing stuff you know you're good at is fun, it's safe, it's easy. But the real growth lives just outside that comfort zone. I remember drawing the same kinds of characters, the same easy poses over and over again. I started getting more and more compliments and I thought, cool, I'm getting better. But deep down, I knew I was playing it safe. I wasn't challenging myself, I wasn't pushing my limits, and because of that, I stopped improving. It wasn't until I forced myself to try hard poses, drawing full scenes instead of just characters' faces, that I started improving again. And it was painful at first. I hated seeing how bad I was at certain things. It felt like starting over. But here's the thing. If it feels uncomfortable, if it feels scary, if it feels like you're gonna mess up, that's exactly where you need to go. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. It happens when you struggle. It happens when you try things you're not good at and keep trying until you get a little better. You don't have to be perfect at it, you just have to show up and do it. You know what's brutal when you're an artist? Feeling like you're not moving fast enough. Like, you look at your favorite artist and think, why am I not there yet? Why do I still struggle with basic stuff? Why can't I afford the good supplies yet? And it feels like you're falling behind, like you're missing some secret shortcut that everybody else knows. There were months where it felt like no matter how hard I worked, I wasn't getting better. There were times I couldn't afford the markers or some good tools I wanted. But here's what I learned, and I hope it saves you some pain. Everything comes at the right time. If you don't have the skills you want yet, it's not because you're failing, it's because you're still building the foundation you're gonna need later. If you don't have the good supplies yet, it's not a death sentence for your dreams, it's just a part of your story, part of what's going to make you stronger. The important thing isn't having everything you want right now, it's showing up anyway, doing the best you can with what you have. When the time is right, when your skills are ready, when your mindset's ready, these doors will open. They always do. You just have to be the kind of person who's still standing when they do. These days, it's way too easy to fall into a trap of creating for likes. You post an anime drawing, it gets a few hearts, you post something else like a drawing of an eye, barely any engagement, and suddenly you're thinking, maybe I should just draw what they want. And without even realizing it, you're not drawing for you anymore, you're drawing for numbers. I fell into that cycle hard. I remember posting something I loved, something that felt personal, something that was pure fun to make, and it got almost no attention. Meanwhile, quick trendy drawings I didn't even care about, boom, tons of likes. And for a while I started chasing that, drawing what I thought people wanted, choosing ideas based on what I thought would perform better. And you know what? It drained all the joy out of drawing for me. Here's what I had to relearn, and maybe you need to hear it too. You didn't start drawing because of followers. You started because it made you feel alive, because it was fun. That's what matters. And ironically, when you draw what you genuinely love, people feel it. It's real, it's magnetic, and over time, you attract the right audience, not just random numbers. At the end of the day, the art that matters most is the art that keeps you going, not the art that gets the most clicks. You remember when you first started drawing? You'd lose track of time sketching characters you made up on the spot. You didn't care if the proportions were off or if the shading made sense. You were just playing. Somewhere along the way, a lot of us lose that. We start worrying about improvement. We compare ourselves to other artists. We feel like every drawing has to be better than the last one or else it's a waste. And drawing something that once felt like an escape starts to feel like a job you can't clock out of. If you've been feeling like you have to draw instead of get to draw, it's not because you don't love art anymore, it's because you forgot how to play. When you start chasing joy instead of chasing perfection, your art actually gets better because you're relaxed, you're exploring, you're connected to why you started drawing in the first place. So if drawing has been feeling heavy lately, give yourself permission to be bad at it for a little while. Mess around, try something new, laugh at your mistakes. Falling back in love with drawing might just be the greatest level up you will ever make. Alright, if there's one thing that every artist, and honestly every creative person, has to face, it's doubt. And I'm not talking about the casual, oh, this drawing isn't great kind of doubt. I'm talking about the deep, heavy moments where you seriously wonder, am I wasting my time? Am I even good enough to get better? Is there even a point to all of this? I wish I could tell you these feelings just disappear when you get a little better, but they don't. I've had days, even after years of improving, where I sat there staring at my paper thinking, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe it's time to quit. That's the real fight. The artists who make it, the ones you look up to, they aren't the ones who never doubted themselves. They're the ones who kept going anyway. They felt the fear, they felt the doubt. They heard all the ugly voices in their heads telling them to quit, and they kept drawing anyway. Not because they always believed they were good enough, but because they decided to believe in the process even when they couldn't fully believe in themselves. Every artist who's great today once sat exactly where you are, feeling exactly how you feel, and they kept going. So when it gets hard, and it will, when the doubts get loud, and they will, promise yourself this: I'm not giving up on me. Because your future self, the one drawing with skill, confidence and joy, they're counting on you to keep going. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Listen, if you made it all the way through this video, you're already way more serious about your art than most people ever will be. Now it's time to turn that into action. Pick one thing from everything we talked about today, just one, and start applying it this week. Because it's not about being perfect, it's about showing up over and over again. And if you want more videos like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below saying I'm in. Let's keep pushing forward together. Thanks for being here, now go and make something amazing.